Hello, welcome to the Florida Daily Show. My name's Ron Davis, filling in for Ed Dean here today. Hope everybody had a happy Easter weekend. It was a nice weekend. Weather held out for us. That was good. Lot is happening. A lot has happened. Wanted to talk about something that happened a little bit late last week. Peter Hegseth fired the Army Chief of Staff, Randy George. And you know, it should make people a little uncomfortable anytime a military leader is relieved of duty during military operations. You always got to worry about continuity. But in this particular instance, even though they didn't give any reasons or grounds, I don't find this heartbreaking at all. I've actually kind of encouraged this. I know there was a little bit of a purge, and of course the media threw their little hissy fit, a few weeks ago. But let me explain that for those of you that have been listening to the Ed Dean Show for a while and have tuned into the Florida Daily. I have been griping and complaining about the military chief of staff for as long as I can remember, and it really started with, I guess I didn't realize how bad things had become, and I'll explain that in just a second, with the military, especially the general staff, until probably, I don't know, the last 2 years of the Obama administration. And Obama despised the military. Okay, he didn't like America because we were empirical. We imposed our will, and we used our military to impose our will on the world. And we were mean and nasty, and of course that's when he did the apology tour. So he set out to single-handedly change the face of the military. Now, liberals, and we saw this with Bill Clinton and so on and so forth. Militaries have always the liberals have always viewed the military as kind of a fertile playground for them, where they can test social justice issues, right? Because if they can get the military to form a protected class of citizens, i.e., back then it would have been gay marriage or gay individuals, then that could be extended to any other form of government. Plus, the great thing for them about the military is if they can get the command to go along with this, then it becomes orders which have to be complied with. There's no wiggle room. There's no debate. So for them, it was always fertile testing grounds for social justice issues. Obama knew this and wholeheartedly pursued it. If you put on a star during the Obama administration, it had nothing to do with your military capacity or capability. It had everything to do with how pliable you were and how ideologically pure you were as it related to the liberal idealism and social justice issues. Okay, and that's it. Bottom line, Trump got kind of fooled by that the first term. General Miley is one, rough and gruff and guess what? He was as liberal and as soft as any of them. As liberal and as soft as any of them. And I think Trump found that out. But the problem is he found out too late. He thought because the enlisted corps really wholeheartedly supported him that the whole military did. Okay, and that's just not the case. That just was not the case. The military, once you put on a star and above, they're different. So during the Obama administration, worked hard with West Point, Annapolis, all the military academies, changed the way professors were hired, who came in, what they were taught. Sure. Did they still learn theory, military theory, strategy, all these other classes, they historically had? Sure. But it was about changing social engineering. It was about no different than any other college, Berkeley campus. UC Berkeley is what it turned into. So it started there. But then to get promoted, okay, because you get 1 star, you want 2. You get 2 stars, you want 3. And you're going to do what it takes to get that command. And you had to be ideologically pure. And Obama had 8 years to do this. Trump came in, didn't realize how bad it was, and we lost valuable time to change the direction of the military. And then Biden came in and furthered it for another year. So essentially, we got 12 years of people putting on stars in the military that are exceedingly liberal. So when I say I'm not heartbroken that Randy George is asked to retire, I'm not. He owes his stars to ideology. You know, we do need a change. And it was refreshing to me when Pete Hegseth came in, and I was listening to him a little bit on Fox News before about some of the complaints with the military. Now, he actually served during the times. I got out when Clinton was in. So I missed the really, really bad times in terms of that. But I did talk to a lot of people. And they were like, I'm not going to encourage my kids to join the military. I don't want my kids to join the military, is what they tell me, because they're like, you don't understand how crazy it is. And they would tell me that instead of having military readiness training and doing drills that they needed to do, they were being sent to classes where, you know, it was that nonsense. Men can get pregnant. You know, it was, being white was a horrible thing, and all blacks were victims. And, you know, it was very divisive. And it wasn't creating, core, because in the military, you're colorblind. You don't care about what nationality and color that person is next to you. Can they do the job? Can they cover your rear? Because you're going to cover theirs. Because you got to cover theirs, because if you don't, it all falls apart. All you care about is the character and the quality of the person that's next to you, and are they going to support you, and do they have the appropriate training? You don't care about the color of their skin. And I know liberals are out there, and that's just killing them, right? For me, that's a racist comment to make. How dare I suggest that the color of the skin is irrelevant? Okay, but that's one of the problems. The biggest recruiting tool the military has always had is from military members themselves. The kids of the military members, they want to go back in. We saw that drop off dramatically towards the end of the Obama administration. Remember this? They were always having problems filling the ranks. Always problems meeting their quotas. Trump came in the first term. Guess what? There was a resurgence. People felt good about it again. Hey, look, there's a change in the direction of the military. Well, Biden came, man, it fell apart again. Now, since then, they haven't had any problems really meeting recruitment areas. So I just kind of wanted to discuss that. Now, I will give you a quick story. I was in a meeting, really intelligent people. And this goes to how much of a lack of awareness Republicans in particular have about this issue. And they were intelligent, they were smart. I'm not going to get into the name of the groups, but they were talking about, and this was back the first year that after Biden got elected, and they were talking about how the military was going to unseat Biden and put Trump back in. And I started laughing. And then they all looked at me like I had an elbow growing under my head, and I was like, wait a minute, y'all are serious? Oh yeah, this and that. And that's when I realized how low the awareness is for many Republicans. They get so embedded in this idea, military, we got to support. You got to be careful, because the leadership is not on the same wavelength as you. And these people actually truly thought that the military leadership was going to step in and remove Biden and put in Donald Trump. Complete lack of awareness. So anyway, I bring up this story, not to bash the military, not to, certainly not doing that, because there's no larger supporter than me, but to bring awareness to the situation that when you hear about these military shakeups, you shouldn't be too worried about it. Because I think they have the right guy there. Hegseth is in there. I mean, well, what better person than somebody that had to follow orders from these people, had to watch what was going on at the upper level, and be able to identify who those individuals are, other than somebody that was in there. Hope you enjoyed it. Go to Florida Daily. Check out a lot of stories. They got a ton of good content on there. Watch the videos, past and forward. Ron Davis covering for Ed Dean. Thanks.